Welcome to the iPad Possibilities Podcast, episode number 42, AirDisplay, MotionXGPS, Square, Early Edition, and more. Before we get this podcast started, I want to thank the sponsor of this podcast, the It's On My Way application, available in the App Store now for $2.99. Check out its latest review in Macworld at macworld.com by searching It's On My Way, a great application that is sponsoring this podcast. Well, welcome to another episode of the iPad Possibilities Podcast. I'm Tim, and I'm the host of this show, and I'm excited, quite frankly. It's been an exciting week as far as the number of innovative new applications that have been released, as far as the news coming out regarding the iPad, as far as we have the international release. You might be listening to this on Friday or Saturday, and the release of the international iPad is on Friday. So if you're listening to this, congratulations for now owning an iPad if you live in one of those different countries that is getting it now. So it's been an exciting week overall. There's been a lot of great things happening, and we're kind of ramping up towards WWDC 2010. It's on the way, and I'm sure we'll have all sorts of new iPad announcements on June 7th when that keynote takes place. But the first bit of news I wanted to let everyone know, and really talking about this more in depth on the Sunday show, but iBooks has now been open for publishing to all Americans. As long as you have an American credit card or bank account, I believe is how it works, you will be able to publish your books into the bookstore. All you need is an ISBN code or barcode or whatever for your book, and you just need to put it in EPUB format. And as an individual, as a publisher, as an author, you now become the publisher. You don't need Random House to publish your book. You don't need the big publishing houses to take care of that for you. And you can be in control of your destiny as far as if your book gets published or not. You get to decide that. If you're an author, it's an exciting time because no longer do you need the publishing houses to take care of you. No longer do the publishing houses get to take a cut of your paycheck by doing that. You get the 70% of sales now, and Apple gets 30% for hosting it and selling it for you. And it's an exciting time because what better way to get in front of a huge audience than by being in the iBooks store? So that's a great announcement that we heard. And I myself am actually looking into writing a book and having it published through Apple's iBooks store. So that announcement came. We'll be discussing that more on the Sunday show, but very exciting. Along with that, I received some feedback as far as how to, on my jailbroken iPad, to put more applications on it, because I maxed out the number of applications allowed by Apple's 3.0 software, and I came across a solution that was recommended to me called InfiniBoard. And what this does, it gives you extra pages that you can scroll down. Instead of across, you can scroll down as far as you need to. So my 3 pages of music apps is now reduced to 1, which scrolls downwards 3 different times. So that has cleared a bunch of space on my iPad to put all sorts of new apps. So that's a great solution for you jailbreakers out there. Another fix, which I'm not sure if I've told you everyone about, for the Wi-Fi not being displayed or even noticed at all, where it would just disappear entirely for some people, is simply in the system, the preference application, to go into your reset area and just simply reset the network settings. Very simple fix and works great. I'm surprised I did not think of that earlier, but that works great for those encountering that problem. So now I have a pretty cool thing I found today. An application that works great on the iPhone 3GS to edit video. That's right, edit video has been updated to its 3.0 release. It's called Real Director, and it is a universal binary app. So if you bought that previously, it works on your iPad. But as I just said, it works on your iPad. It's been updated and optimized for the iPad. So what this means is we now have an iMovie-like application for the iPad. So you can start editing video on the iPad. Now, I own this application. I've not had a great deal of time to look into all the capabilities of it. But in the future, I will, and I will cover it extensively as it is a new possibility that has opened up. For movie and film editors, you can now do that on your iPad through Real Director. It's the first real editing software available for the iPad. I'm excited to try that out, and I'm excited to see if anyone will create an audio version of this, a GarageBand kind of equivalent. So we have iMovie now for the iPad through Real Director, and I'm excited to see if GarageBand will have some sort of equivalent application. So my last thoughts before we move into the different reviews of today, and that is Netflix streaming with that TV output. Now, I've had a chance to thoroughly test this out on different TVs with Apple's composite cable and component cable, and I must say I am blown away by the quality of that output. I'm surprised there's not more pixelation that I'm seeing on the TVs. I've been testing these on some big TVs, 50 inchers, very large TVs, and some smaller ones. And with both cables, it didn't really matter which one I used. They both looked great, and I was just surprised. I'm testing this out with Lost. And Lost has some HD streams available on Netflix. And I must say, even on that 50-inch screen, it looked HD. I was blown away at the quality that I was receiving. And most surprisingly of all, 3G gave me this same output, pretty much. There was some degradation, but over 3G, it gave me an incredible quality on 50-inch screen TVs. It looked HD, and I have to say Netflix is really going to be a huge player, as they already have been, in providing what I call TV 2.0, where applications are the future of your TV watching, where you just stream all your content. And it's incredible. And Netflix is doing a great job, and it works great with all the different adapters, Pico projectors, anything you throw at it. The quality that you get out of the Netflix streaming, and if you're a Lost fan especially, they've got the first 5 seasons in HD streaming, and it looks fantastic. Because it is HD streaming, it is eating through my bandwidth. I've been doing a bunch of this over the 3G network because the Wi-Fi I do not have good access to really, but the 3G it's remarkable. I have better signal quality, better data in and output through the 3G network than I have at the Wi-Fi networks I've been able to watch video on. And I've eaten through already 7 gigabytes of data over the first month by different things I've been using. So, wow, yeah, I do eat through a lot of data on this 3G network through applications like Netflix. So I must say I'm just blown away by Netflix and the capabilities of it. And with that said, I'd like to move on to some different reviews that are pretty exciting. Some new apps this week, and I'm going to move right into it right now. So as I said, a bunch of different apps released this week, and a lot of the applications I've had an opportunity to try out for free. So I should mention, as I'm reviewing these apps, all of the applications I am reviewing today, I did get free promo codes to test these out and review them. So I just wanted to say that, so full disclosure with everything there. But with that said, I'd like to talk about the first application. And this is a biggie. It's called AirDisplay. And quite simply, what AirDisplay does is it turns your iPad, if you are a Mac owner, in the future it'll support Windows, but for right now, just Mac owners, it'll turn your iPad into an external monitor. And it works extremely well. We've seen apps like this called iDisplay, which failed miserably. But the difference here is this app works wonderfully. It treats your iPad, the Mac treats your iPad as a display. It recognizes it in the system preferences as a display now, where you can even put the menu bar up top on it. You can use it in horizontal or vertical mode, and you can put it anywhere as far as in relationship to your main display underneath, on top, side, left, or right. And I must say, I'm just blown away by how easy it was to set up. So as far as setting up, all you do is install the system preference and restart your Mac. There's a package that you just install on your Mac, and you just restart your Mac, and you're ready to go. You launch your application, AirDisplay, on the iPad, and you're connected within seconds. It's quite remarkable how well it does work. And this application comes from the same developers as AirSharing. Many people are familiar with this app. It's from that same developer that created that. And what I was most shocked upon, I guess I shouldn't have been shocked, but the resolution you get on the iPad is 768 by 1024. Now, the shocking is this is a 9.7-inch screen. I have an old display I've been using, and I kind of stopped using it. But I got 800 by 600 on that display, a 14-inch display. And I'm getting better resolution, and it makes sense because the iPad is a very high-res display, right? But this 9.7-inch screen effectively replaces that 14-inch screen, and now if I need that external monitor, I just grab my iPad. I don't always need an external monitor. So with the iPad, it's great because now, whenever I choose to, whenever I want to, I can have an external monitor. And when I don't want one, I just use my iPad for something else. And the cool thing is you can still run audio in the background. You can be running your iPod app in the background while you're using it as a display. One limitation that I did run across as a multiple iPad owner is you can only run the app at a single time. Basically, you can only run AirDisplay on one iPad at a time. You cannot use two iPads for two external monitors currently. I thought that'd be a cool possibility. I emailed the developer, and that's something they're looking into in the future, but not right away. Currently, they're focused on bringing 64-bit compatibility to the Mac and, of course, Windows compatibility. So that's not a possibility yet, running it on two iPads, but in the future, it may become one. So some other things about this app, that it's just really well designed. You're able to actually touch the iPad and use that to move the mouse, draw on the screen, and effectively turn your Mac into a tablet computer, at least on that screen. It's just been a great application. It's $10 in the App Store now, and I think for $10, it's a great buy. Even though I did not buy it, it was free for me. I would have purchased it if I did not have this opportunity because it does work so well. It is a great application that brings the iPad into another realm of what you can use it for, especially as a Mac owner. And it works perfectly in the Mac ecosystem and just a very natural app. Some use cases that the developer recommended were running utility apps on it, such as iChat, Mail, iCal, the calculator. For graphic designers, make Photoshop and Illustrator usable on your laptop by putting the tool palettes on the iPad screen. So many people are familiar with tool palettes that are available in different applications like iPhoto, Photoshop, some of the other applications, Finale, if you're a music person, for instance. They have all these tool palettes. The iPad now becomes a perfect way to put all those tool palettes there while you're working on your smaller screen laptop. Say if you have a 13-inch MacBook Pro, MacBook, or MacBook Air, this effectively doubles that screen size through the iPad because it is a higher res display and it doubles the display, which is amazing. So now, as a mobile user, if you have your laptop and iPad, you're ready to go. I was actually looking into earlier picking up a small 7-inch USB display, but the iPad totally replaces this need now. So it's just simply amazing. It feels like a wired display. It doesn't feel like it's wireless. As I was typing, the letters came up immediately. Mouse input, it really felt wired, which was the big startling thing for me. So this application is just remarkable. It's $10. Some other use cases. As a musician, you can use your iPad as a control surface for Logic or Pro Tools. For programmers, you can use the extra display area for auxiliary development tools such as the console, terminal, or the debugger. For business professionals, as I mentioned with the palettes, you can use iWork and Office palettes in the inspector windows onto the iPad, letting you use the main screen for your document itself. So those are some use cases, and I must say, if you're hesitating on this app, grab it today. It is a great app that increases the productivity of what you're using your Mac for, and basically enables the iPad to be so much more than what it is now. So great app, great app. It's $10 in the App Store. And once again, it is called AirDisplay. Moving away from AirDisplay onto another great application. This time you're going outside to use it. It's called MotionXGPS HD. Now it's $3 in the App Store. It's on sale now. And I've purchased this before, the iPhone version at least. And it was a great app on that platform as well. But I'm liking it a lot more on this platform, the iPad. They've made some great uses of the screen size and done beautiful interface for this. And because the GPS in the iPad 3G is so much better than that in the iPhones, it works that much better. So basically the concept behind this app, as I like to describe it, is basically the TomTom for those that don't drive. It's a TomTom for hikers, for geocachers, for those that spend some time outside that need to navigate from point A to point B to find out which bearing they're going, and that need a compass, all those sorts of things. So one of the cool things about this app is you're able to... Have you ever wondered how far it is to walk to a certain location? Say you're on a college campus. This is something I did. I wondered how far it was from my apartment to the academic building in the morning, and I figured out it was half a mile. And it's very easy to do that there's actually a ruler built into this app that you can use a ruler on a map to figure out how far it is, what the bearing is. So that is a very cool use of this application, just finding how far it is from point A to point B. Now, there's also some other cool things. You're able to adjust the different layers on the map to have grids and waypoints and all sorts of other things that I don't know a great deal about. I do geocache, so this is an application that I'll be using more and more as I go out and about geocaching. I can plot in the coordinates on the map by, simply the latitude and longitude where it's expected to be at and different GPS coordinates and things like that. So moving away from that, another cool thing about this application is you're able to find position details, information about where you are currently standing. It'll give you your latitude and longitude, your altitude, the last valid fix, when were they able to locate you last. It'll give you the strength of your GPS signal. So if you're wondering, how is my signal right now as far as GPS? And it tells you how accurate that signal is. In my case, it was 16 feet accuracy is what I got. It'll also give you access to something that's missing from the iPad that's on the iPhone 3GS. Now, the iPad has a compass inside, but there's no compass app. Well, this app comes with a compass, a beautiful compass that's built right into the application itself. And with that, it also gives you the direction you're traveling. It gives you the VMG and the SOG. Those are different ways to figure out how fast you're traveling in miles per hour. It'll give you the distance to the waypoint you're traveling to, the time to the waypoint, and the ETA that you expect to arrive there from that information. So it gives you all that kind of information. It gives you the ability to navigate. As I mentioned earlier, this is kind of TomTom for hikers and geocachers. So there's different ways to navigate. You can navigate to a point on a map. You can navigate a range and bearing. So basically you tell it, I want to go 1.5 miles bearing 30 degrees north, or whatever it is. So you can navigate that way to give you directions that way. You can navigate the coordinates on a map, so latitude, longitude points. You can go to wayward list. So they have basically predefined waywords, such as Apple's Cupertino campus and other major places that are pre-built into it, sort of a point of interest feature. And you can also go to addresses themselves. And it also explains different location modes of the iPad. It tells you GPS and how accurate that is. It tells you the Wi-Fi and how accurate that way of finding your location is. And you're able to enter your home address manually for location. Some other cool things that make this a useful outdoors app is you're able to save maps offline. You can determine which area of map you want to save, and it'll save that for you. And it works. The maps provided are really great. It gives you maps available from MotionX, Bing, and Google in different variety of settings, from world map is what they call it, to road, to train, to satellite, to hybrid. And they even have a new thing called marine if you're by water, I imagine. I have not had a chance to test it there. The thing that really shocked me was just the interface. As I opened it, I instantly understood how this application worked. And because I'd recommend this app for 3G iPad owners because you have the GPS chip inside of those. The Wi-Fi users do not have that, so this app would not be nearly as useful without that. So the dead simple interface really shocked me. This is like the perfect tool for outdoor type people. The kind of downside, the question I kind of pose is, how good is the iPad outside? As I did test this outside, and I was able to read kind of the information provided. But to be honest with you, the iPad screen outside is not the best, right? A lot of reflection. You have to have the screen kind of cranked up the maximum brightness to have it at all used. So that is the question I pose. Is the iPad a good device to be used outside? And I'd say yes and no. It kind of depends on the sun. How bright is it outside? What is that kind of setting? I think the iPhone might be a better choice to use outside, right? Because it is pocketable, so you can be hiking around and don't have to have it in your hands at all time. But the iPad, if you have it set up right, could be a great outdoor navigation device because it is much better at getting your location than the iPhone is, right? Location services work much better with the 3G iPad than any other Apple device so far. So that is something really going for this. And it just shocks me how well it works. You're able to access your iPod from within this app. But the problem of using an iPad outside is the only thing that's really kind of putting a thought in my mind is, would I use this outside? Would I use this instead of my iPhone when I'm out geocaching? So my review is very positive. I really believe this is a great application. It's only $3, and they've done a great interface, and it's kind of the missing component of the iPad 3G. That of the missing compass. You don't get the compass with the iPad 3G as you do the 3GS, even though there's one in there. And I believe there's a compass in the Wi-Fi units as well. So if you need a compass, grab this app because this gives you that compass and much more. But it's a great app, and I'm going to be very excited to play around with this summer as I do more and more geocaching. So once again, that is called MotionXGPS HD. They have an iPhone version as well, but this is the iPad version for $3. Check it out. So on to a free app for everybody, not just me, and it's called Square. And this is an app I was very excited about when I heard about it at Macworld 2010. The concept behind this, it's called Square, it's squareup.com, so you need to square up, you need to settle a bill. That's kind of the concept behind it. Basically, it turns your iPad or iPhone into a credit card terminal, right? So I received their dongle. This is kind of hard to get to right now since there's such a high demand. But they actually send you when you sign up, and I guess they're shipping these out as I actually received mine. They send you a little tiny credit card reader that plugs into your headphone jack. And I found the build quality of this credit card reader is quite good. So the reader really felt like a quality product. It felt like it feels like it won't fall apart on me. It feels like a sturdy device that I could just leave in my iPad and I wouldn't worry about it breaking my iPad or anything like that. So the device itself, the credit card reader, is this little white, basically headphone jacked piece of plastic that you can swipe a credit card through. Very simple, very well designed, very well built, and all of that. So very good there with Square. So if you go to squareup.com, you can sign up and you can download the application. It's universal, so it works on your iPhone, iPod Touch, and iPad. And so far, they've had over 17,000 transactions, as I was able to figure out when I did my transaction. So you basically sign up once you install the app. They will mail you a free credit card terminal, basically a reader that you plug into your headphone jack. And the package includes that card reader, a sticker that has Pay with Square on it with their logo, and a card explaining how to activate your card reader. So you do have a code there that you have to activate it, like a serial number for that card reader to kind of verify that you got it and all those kinds of things. So you might be wondering, what's the catch? Is it totally free? How do they make money on this? Well, they do make money on this. To basically use this, it costs kind of a percentage of the total transaction. So the maximum right now per transaction is $100. You can't go above $100 per transaction right now. I'm not sure if that'll change in the future. And then you can't go more than $700 in a week. So that's kind of a limitation that I really don't like, because as a business owner, you may need to go over $700. In a given week, you may want to sell things over $100 in value. And I hope they have a kind of a business version of this launching. I really hope they do that, because that's a big disappointment I had with it. So that's not going to be a limitation I run into quite often, but I think many people will if they run businesses. So basically, once you get it all up and running and you do transactions, it'll cost you 2.75% plus 15 cents, which I believe goes to a charity. So obviously, the bigger transactions, the less it hurts you, because at 15 cents, if it's only $1, really cuts into your profit, right? So as you get in the bigger transaction, that 15 cents kind of goes away as far as not being that important. And if you don't have the card reader, if you don't use the card reader, it will cost you 3.5% plus 15 cents. So with that card reader, you're getting a heck of a deal on transacting credit cards. Because if you look into getting a merchant account, there's monthly bills associated with that. There are higher percentages. It's around 3%, I believe, 3.5, sometimes 4% to use credit cards. So the percentage is quite low. So it's a great deal and something I would actually use because instead of a merchant account because of that. So as I said, the limitations are $100 per transaction. And another limitation I ran into, I wanted to test this card reader on older devices. So I tested it on the original iPhone and the iPhone 3G. And to my findings, it would not work on older hardware. Now, with that said, it did work on the iPod Touch, third generation, the current generation of iPod Touches. So I would imagine it would also work on the current generation of iPhones. I'm not sure if that has something to do with needing a faster processor to work with all this, or if there's some new protocol found in the newer devices. But it is another limitation I found with using Square. And another observation that it is very secure. I felt very safe using this. The user themselves do not see the numbers. They're instantly just used by Square to transact the transaction, and they're gone. No one knows what the numbers are, and they're instantly wiped. They're not saved anywhere for future use, so it's very hard to steal your credit card information. So how you do it, you simply launch Square, you are logged in, you simply swipe your credit card, and it's processed. That's all you have to do. You enter how much the item costs. You can put pictures of the item and different things like that. You can add all those different things. But basically the process is you swipe it, and within 10 seconds, you're good to go. I found on the iPad, swiping was a whole lot easier than it was on the iPod Touch. Just because of the size of the iPad, it makes it easier to hold on to everything rather than the smaller devices. So a great service that I think will really take off as they ship out more of these card readers. I think in the future, garage sales, right? They'll have iPads or iPhones. that you'll be able to pay by credit card because of services like Square. It's going to be great. It's kind of a new possibility that's opening up as far as a business owner being able to accept transactions through their iPad or iPhone. It brings entrepreneurship to another level of users that I think will really help this market, help America become kind of that entrepreneur-based free enterprise system that it was founded upon. So it's a very exciting time. And so as a part of, I just wanted to kind of, I actually did this. I wanted to share kind of the emails that you get after using this device, after using the service of Square. So I did this as a test. I paid myself through Square $1. So the minimum transaction is $1. The maximum is $100. So the email I got after I used the service is, as a customer, this is what you will get. You paid $1 with your Visa ending in blank, blank, blank to Timothy Chatton at 12:30 a.m. on May 27th, 2010. This is your first visit. View your full receipt, and it gives you a web address there. Your full receipt has more information about your payment to Timothy Chatton, including a map. Thanks, Square. https://squareup.com. So that web link includes listing of the items you purchased. It physically has a map. It actually has a map of where you paid for the item, which I find totally cool. So you can remember where did this come from? When did I use this? It's a great little thing. It could really help track down on fraud, right? Because if you get that, you can pinpoint where they actually used it from. So that's kind of a good thing. They protect you against fraud, having that geolocation information built right into your receipt. And it also tells you how it'll appear on your card. Now, so from there, as a vendor, as a person running the business or whatever it may be, you receive this email. Hello, Timothy Chatton. You charged $1 to the card ending in blank, blank, blank. Your net collected in this charge is 82 cents. Transaction details, a URL link. Thank you, https://squareup.com. So, as you saw, $1 was charged. I received 82 cents. 15 cents went because I used it, goes to a charity, and the other percentage goes to Square directly. So as you can see, these smaller transactions, that 15 cents really does eat into your profits. And then another email I got the following day was, hello, Timothy Chatton. We just initiated a credit in the amount of 82 cents to your Chase account. The funds should be available in 2 to 4 business days. Thank you, https://squareup.com. So those were kind of the emails and kind of the user experience going through it. So overall, just a great application. If you want to make credit card transactions on your iPad, you now can. Sign up today with squareup.com. So it works great on all of the different devices I used it on. As far as newer generation devices, it won't work as well on the older devices, which kind of shocked me because it fits perfectly into the first generation of iPhones, which had, as you probably remember, had that recessed the headphone jack, so you can only use super long, headphones with it, and it fit perfectly in there, which kind of shocked me how it didn't work. So I'd check out Square if you're interested in taking transactions on your iPhone. So check that one out, and on to our final app of the day. So as many people know, we recently did a news episode where we discussed all things news, how you access the news on the iPad, and that was on last week's Sunday night show. So this is episode 42, so that would have been episode 40. And we discussed pretty briefly Early Edition. So I emailed the developer and asked them, could I get a free copy to try out? And they sent me a free promo code. And to your delight, they actually sent me an extra one to give away in the show. So if you don't have Early Edition and you want to get it, simply email me at iPadPossibilities@gmail.com and simply have in the subject line, Early Edition promo. So the first one to do that gets the single promo code. So act fast. It's a $5 application. And let me get right into the review of it. So initial impressions, it is fast. It's the fastest load time of stories anywhere I've seen. As you touch a story, it's instantly, within milliseconds on your iPad. It's just that's what blew me away about it. The speed of the application itself is startling, amazing. It just kind of shocked me as I used it. The speed of the application was just amazing. So basically the concept behind Early Edition is it transforms websites and RSS feeds into a newspaper. This is kind of the newspaper of the next generation. It transforms all of those RSS feeds into a very well-designed newspaper. So that's kind of the concept behind it, and they succeed extremely well. So with this application, basically comes pre-installed with different RSS feeds. You're able to add your own manually. They'll add in the future a way to do that more seamlessly, where you can search for different websites and things like that. But right now it's all manual. But I was just blown away by how well they succeed in turning the web into a newspaper. That's basically what it does. It turns the web into a newspaper. And it does this extremely well. So one common problem I've always had with RSS is I don't look at it every day. And as a result, I backlogged thousands of unread RSS items. And it constantly nags you. It's like a second email box that you have to check and make sure everything's read. It brings inbox zero to a new level of just fatigue and not a good feeling. So with Early Edition, the way they solved this is through archives. You're able to go to archives from previous days and read the news from that day. So they take the concept of the newspaper and bring it to the web. They figure you have an Early Edition from Monday, May 27th, or whatever day that is. I think it's currently Thursday. And they take that concept and you have your Early Edition from yesterday. You have your Early Edition from a couple days ago. And you can pick up that edition of the newspaper. Versus RSS, where you just have this backlog of thousands of RSS items that you can never catch up with and read all of them. But with Early Edition, it packages it all up into something that makes sense for non-geeks. And it's a great application. So within the stories themselves, you're able to go and view the original web page if you want. You can send it to Instapaper, as I've discussed before, what Instapaper does. You can open it in Safari. You can email the link or copy the link. So that's kind of what you can do within the stories themselves. And the way they lay this out is you're able to flick through or tap on the bottom right or left to go to different pages of your newspaper. So you can just flick through as you do in iBooks to navigate through your paper. And that's how you just change pages. As newspapers are laid out, there are different pages in this paper as well. So it makes perfect sense as far as taking that newspaper metaphor and bringing it over to the iPad. So it's a great application that brings newspapers into the 21st century. It's $5. It's in the App Store, called Early Edition. And once again, I have a free promo code to the first person that emails me at iPadPossibilities@gmail.com with the subject line Early Edition promo. So that pretty much concludes the Friday-Saturday episode of this week. And as you probably have been listening, this is my longest episode I've ever done on a Friday-Saturday show. And it's been a lot of fun because I've had a chance to look at some really groundbreaking applications. AirDisplay, taking your iPad, turning it into a display. The GPS app, turning your iPad into a navigation system for hikers. Square, giving business owners the ability to conduct business anywhere in the world now through their iPad. And Early Edition, transforming the web into a modern day newspaper. So I wanted to take these applications and really go over them well and in depth and it turned out to be quite a long episode. And I have no problem doing the Friday, Saturday show as a longer episode to give you guys, as more and more groundbreaking applications come out, an opportunity to discuss those. Especially as I go more in depth with music and different individualized markets, I wanted an opportunity to still share some of the things that are going on in the iPad community and iPad marketplace right now. So as always, feedback is greatly appreciated. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on the different applications I'm reviewing and kind of the show in general. So you can do that by emailing me at iPadPossibilities@gmail.com and calling into the voicemail box at 209-542-iPad. So I'd love your feedback there. Just call in and leave your message. I also want to extend the invitation to everyone to join us this Sunday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We get together every Sunday night to discuss the iPad and different topics. And this week, there's been a lot going on, as I discussed at the beginning of this show. And there's going to be some great discussions regarding iBooks, regarding the international. If you are international, if you have your iPad now for the first time because it's been released in your country, please join us. Please email me. I'd love to actually have you on this show if you're an international user now for the first time getting your iPad. I'd love for you to actually call in and be on this show. Join us 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to join us, simply go to thepossibilitiesnetwork.com and you'll find all the information there you need there about the live show. It is every Sunday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'd love if you could join us this Sunday night. So if you would like to know how you can support this show, there's one of a couple of different ways. First off, in iTunes, one of the most great things is simply leaving a review. That helps this show out immensely. And if you leave a review that's negative, that's fine. But I'd appreciate if you can just email me and let me know if I can fix some issues. I recently received feedback about bad audio. And I recently re-encoded the entire 40 episodes to better audio quality. And I'd like to know what's not quite right. So if you do negative, that's fine, but please let me know so I can try to fix problems. I can't really interact with you and address things through the reviews. So that's a great way to help and support the show. Another way, the best way really, is by becoming a premium member to the podcast. It is only $2 a month to become a premium member. And this membership really does pay for itself, because as part of the membership, I email everybody before anybody else knows about the promo codes and give you first come of the promo codes. So in some cases, they may be gone before this episode airs, because as a premium member, you have first access to those. So it kind of pays for itself over time. So it's only $2 a month, and in this instance, you could have grabbed a Goodreader, or not Goodreader, but Early Edition before anybody else. That's a $5 application you would have access to for free. Also, with the premium membership, you get the shows Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You get a different version of this episode that is ad-free. So no ads in the premium version of this podcast, and all sorts of other great features. Check it out at thepossibilitiesnetwork.com for all the information there. It's $2 a month, done through PayPal. I think it's great. I'd love feedback regarding the premium show. If you think it's what else it needs or what's lacking, just let me know. So that's at thepossibilitiesnetwork.com. You can also support the show through the iTunes App Store by purchasing the iPad Possibilities Podcast app. It's $2.99, and you get the episodes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So check that out in the App Store. And just check us out at thepossibilitiesnetwork.com. There's lots of things going on over there, and some other shows as well. So with all that said, and before I lose my voice, this is Tim Chadden with the iPad Possibilities Podcast, and I hope you can join us this Sunday night. And until then, we will speak again.